Just because somebody tells you something, it doesn't mean you should believe them, especially when that somebody is a known liar, fraudster, cheat, and convicted felon. So when the assembled cult and much of the corporate media fell for Donald Trump's confidence trick at the rally last night, the rest of us living in reality did not. I mean, did you see it?
We also have an illegal immigration crisis, and it's taking place right now as we sit here in this beautiful arena.
His speech was crap. It was a disaster. It was a joke, and yet the media led with stories of it being solemn and toned down and how he changed after the assassination attempt. Well, obviously, the media didn't watch all 90 minutes of the agonizing ad-libbed hate speech. They probably just watched the beginning and then gave up after the first 10 minutes when he pretended to be humbled by the shooting and pushed the false narrative that everybody thought he was dead when he hit the deck.
As you already know, the assassin's bullet came within a quarter of an inch of taking my life. So many people have asked me, what happened? Tell us what happened, please. And therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened, and you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell. I went to the stage and the crowd was cheering wildly. Everybody was happy. I began speaking very strongly, powerfully, and happily. When I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear, I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place.
He dramatized the shooting to make himself out as a superhero, speaking slowly and thoughtfully at first, recounting every moment of the bullet leaving the gun and his divine head-turn intervention. He told the audience that he shouldn't be there tonight, and when they didn't quite understand what he meant or react appropriately, he said it again. Except the real Donald Trump, the malignant narcissist, didn't have any real feelings about being shot at, other than to think that it was his skill that dodged the bullet. Because he's a fake, a showman, a fabricator, and a liar. And this is proved with his phone call that was leaked with RFK Jr., where almost the same evening that he was shot at, he gets on the phone and excitedly describes the shooting in his real voice, with his genuine reaction about it, completely different to the faux sentiment he presented at the convention.
How did you choose to move to the right? So I guess that's, people said, if I was looking straight up, right? He said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart was on all the people pouring into our country, right? But I just turned my head to show the chart. And something wrapped me. It felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. And it was a bullet going around. You know, what do they call that, an AR-15 or something? That was a big gun. Those are pretty tough guns, right?
Meanwhile, the audience lapped up the bullshit. They shook their heads at the travesty and cried at the injustice of it all. They wallowed at his altar of fake with their cultish gullibility. I just want to interrupt myself for a moment to ask you to support me and independent journalism by becoming a member of this YouTube channel. Click join just below. It starts at just $3 a month, and it would be really helpful because at the moment things have never been more complex and more dangerous with the rise of fascism and the fall of US democracy. So I'm going to do my best to put these messages and this analysis out every single day, but I really need your help to do that. If you don't want to join the YouTube channel and you're already on Patreon, you can sign up for my Patreon as well at patreon.com/5minutenews. Thank you. Trump is mentally unwell. He doesn't feel anything. He has no emotions. He has no sympathy or empathy, even for himself. He only cares about winning and retribution. And to anyone who understands the human condition, his act is obvious. It's so obvious. He is a joke, but instead of being deplatformed by the media as he should have been back in 2016 and again in 2020, because of his hate speech and his lies and his contempt for American democracy, they legitimized him by treating him like a normal candidate. And this has now been going on for almost a decade. And to cover Donald Trump and not mention his mental health or him being a cult leader is journalistic malpractice. Or maybe an intrinsic bias in the news media, where the clown is simply more entertaining than the ringmaster. Better for their business, better for ratings, for clicks and for likes. And for those of us who kept with the speech, and if you did so, I applaud you, we learned that a leopard does not change its spots. After the fake intro of solemnity, Trump slipped back into his famous abuse-ridden tirade of negativity, hate, and lies. Lies about Joe Biden, lies about Democrats, lies about the economy, lies about the southern border, lies about Ukraine, lies about his record, and lies about America being a failing nation. It was basically the same garbage rally speech that he didn't finish on Saturday because somebody tried to shoot him. I maintain Donald Trump is not popular. He is a minority candidate who hasn't won anything since 2016. And even then, he didn't win the popular vote. During his presidency, he did nothing for the United States. Can you even think of anything that Trump did for the country? Apart from divide it, apart from compromise our national security, and apart from adding $7.8 trillion to the national debt. Even his former chief of staff said that he is the most flawed person I know. The depths of his dishonesty are astounding. Mitt Romney, a Republican, said he is unquestionably mentally unstable and he is racist, bigoted, misogynistic, xenophobic, vulgar, and prone to violence. There is simply no rational argument that could lead me to vote for someone with those characteristics. The late John McCain said, "An American president does not lead the free world by congratulating dictators on winning sham elections," after Trump congratulated Putin on his win. In fact, 40 out of 44 members of Trump's former cabinet, including his own vice president, refused to endorse him a second time. Why is that? And hundreds of mental health professionals agree that he is mentally unfit, a threat to democracy, and has ambitions for dictatorship. And yet people are questioning Joe Biden's candidacy? It's Trump that must stand down immediately. He isn't the full ticket. He never made America great again. He mentioned the word unity at the beginning and then forgot about it by minute 5. He said he'd bring people together and he'd be a president for all Americans, and then he went on to bash Democrats and claim that they're the threat to democracy. He continues to divide this nation with his hatred, his abuse, and negativity. He is the source of political violence. He is the source of the division. He is the source of world leaders giving up on America.
It's a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery, crime, poverty, disease, and destruction to communities all across our land. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
In Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we have a united team of calm, thoughtful, pro-democracy leaders who care desperately about America. They never make their speeches about themselves. They advocate for all Americans, including the marginalized that Donald Trump wants eradicated. He talks of internment camps, border closure, which is impossible, by the way, and mass deportations. People were holding up signs saying mass deportations. This is no way to talk about humans. Humans seeking asylum, seeking safety and shelter. He's confirmed his desire to retaliate against the institutions and individuals who held him to account, and to rebuild the administrative state in his own disgusting image, the image of a tyrant, albeit with a diaper for an ear bandage. And I just want to address those who complain that people shouldn't call him Hitler. They're missing the point. Trump is compared to the Hitler of 1933, 6 years before World War II. The Hitler that used the same abusive rhetoric and propaganda to get himself legitimately elected after his initial failed coup attempt. Sound familiar? And the same Adolf Hitler who, when given enough power, eventually went to war with Poland in 1939 and then the rest of the world. This is who Trump is. He aspires to be a strongman, an aggressor, a dictator. Not for a day, but forever. The American people don't want this. Sure, the media reports on the cult, but the cult is not everyone. The cult is fewer than half of Republicans, maybe less, and sure, they might look like a powerful force at their conference, but that's the whole point of conference. To show unity and drive messaging and give the impression that they are a movement. But they're not a movement, they're a cult. And his cult members don't question the cult leader. They bow to his authority. They buy his merchandise, his trading cards, his sneakers with his image on them and the words "fight, fight, fight." They aren't the majority. The cult is a minority of voters who crave attention, crave the limelight and the airwaves. Meanwhile, the rest of us are quietly watching from the sidelines, waiting for our democratic right to walk into a polling place and vote for the alternative, to vote for peace, for democracy, and for civility. Biden is a much better president than Trump will ever be. And Kamala Harris is more qualified to be VP than J.D. Vance's right ear. The Democratic ticket is strong. So get behind it, as so many people have. Biden might be old, but he's extremely likable. Young people are drawn to his kindness and the fact that he chose a female and person of color to stand beside him. That is all you need to know about this election. Biden-Harris are the antidote to American fascism. The American people won't choose fascism, they won't make the mistake that Germany did in the 1930s, and whilst the media might be falling for it, the voters aren't. They're smarter than that. You're smarter than that. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe the newspapers and the drama that thinks that Trump is suddenly the most popular person in the country. Of course, someone tried to shoot him. Of course he's going to be on the front pages. But the convention is a very narrow space, full of cult members. Voters, independents, undecided, even conservatives who are not Trumpers will vote for the Democratic ticket. Because Donald Trump is a pox on American society. He needs to go. And only we, the people, can make that happen. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast. Catch me on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.